AI updates are no longer niche announcements. They're showing up inside the tools that people are already using every day, and they're quietly changing how the content is being created, searched, and monetized. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the ProfileTree podcast. Today, in this episode, we're joined with Gabby, our lead digital strategist, Emer, who is our lead digital account executive, and I'm Chris, our lead videographer. In this episode, we're going to look at some updates that we're expecting to see over the next year in 2026. We're going to look at hardware and software and all other things in between. So the thing that we want to really start with is that AI updates are no longer niche announcements. They're for the tech audiences. They're showing up inside the tools that people are already using every day, and they're quietly changing how the content is being created, searched, and monetized. In this section, we're going to look at what the latest AI changes mean in real business terms for creators and for everyday users rather than what the press releases promise. So let's start with AI devices. For example, OpenAI, I hear, are creating a device that people can use. You were telling me a little bit about this earlier, Gabby?
Yeah, so it's just a report I think that's really only just come out, and I was reading a bit about it this morning. So, what OpenAI, and for anyone who doesn't know who OpenAI is, they are the owners of ChatGPT. So they are actually looking to create their first AI powered device, and they're looking to potentially release it in the second half of 2026. Although, say, like, it's still very early days in terms of the reports, and nothing's been confirmed yet. What I saw just when I was doing a little bit of research myself is that they're looking to almost create a rival to Apple's AirPods, and they're going to be effectively kind of like pill-shaped gadgets that can rest behind the ear. And what they're say like with that, they're looking to actually expect to not only initially launch that device, say, and I think where they were really talk about September time, maybe in 2026, but there's also been talk of they're going to actually expand beyond that with 5 different devices, sorry, by the fourth quarter of 2028. So I think even just from those kind of early reports, it's just showing you how AI is even now developing into, like you said, Chris, in terms of hardware. But, where, say, for you, do you think that that might impact, businesses?
Well, I think for businesses, the impact of this device or devices that they're talking about, if it's affordable and becomes popular, it'll probably change how businesses approach their marketing in the future. Because again, right now we create websites for desktop, for iPads, for and tablets, and then for mobile phone first design as well. So there's a lot of things to consider. Like, we're looking at AI search right now, so GEO and AI SEO for the likes of, if you are talking to ChatGPT or another AI software, you're trying to, as a business, trying to get you to be the result. If someone says, like, for example, list the top 5 video production agencies in Belfast, we need to be one of those answers to compete with the industry. So it's definitely going to change how businesses approach marketing in the future. And as the devices might favor audio first, brands will really need to consider investing in whatever it is that they're displaying, whether it be like audio for, so if they maybe lean into interactive audio experiences or interactive visual experiences, whatever that may be. I mean, I was talking to our founder the other day, and he's ordered the Meta glasses. They look really, really interesting. I think as well, if they could probably display ads, there could be augmented reality around it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think with the meta glasses, they're definitely going to push marketing towards a more immersive, in the moment kind of experience compared to what we're used to, which is content that has predominantly been consumed through a screen. It'll be a lot more interactive. It'll be a better way to kind of interact with brands as well, than the traditional way that we're used to. So, Gabby, I think you'd mentioned that you'd seen someone using the meta glasses for their marketing already.
Yeah, like that's the main is I think even though I think Meta glasses are still in kind of in the early stages, like I think at the minute they have a limit. You can only record, I think, say in terms of video, you can only record, I think, 30 minutes, I think, maximum. But I saw an example of, and I think they're based in America, but it was kind of a personal fitness gym. But what they had was their owner was wearing Meta glasses and taking you on a tour around the entire gym. So you could get almost like a real life experience of what to expect when you go yourself. And I think with say not even say the possible devices that are come from OpenAI as well as the Meta glasses, I think that is going to lean a little bit more into like you both mentioned like the kind of real time content where say like you are going to have a bit of AR, like say like with the Meta glasses, things I've heard that you're going to be able to maybe look at ads on one screen but while watching say a sporting event on another side of your glasses. That I think when it comes to AI, businesses now need to think about how those devices, not even just the platforms and the technology itself, but how those devices are not only going to maybe impact how they work with whether it's their marketing or their processes, but how their consumers are going to see them as well.
See the hardware as well. These Meta glasses are becoming even more accessible. Like we've seen the Apple Vision Pro. They were quite bulky, nearly like a VR headset. Have you ever used VR, like the Oculus Quest set headsets or anything?
I've used one, but I find out very quickly I get motion sickness, so I haven't used them since.
Yeah, there is a little bit of a gap to bridge there with how it makes you feel, because it is overwhelming to start with, but the more you use it, the more it becomes like it's nearly like riding a bike. You start off, you fall off, and then you get back on, you keep going until it becomes second nature, like driving a car as well. So, I've had the VR headset, from the offset, been playing games on it for a long time. Not as much anymore because it nearly feels like a bit of a novelty as you get older, But the Meta glasses for business and for the potential in the future, if imagine something like Tony Stark glasses, Iron Man, and he puts them on, he has all the details as you walk past people, seeing, like information pop up. It would just be incredible if we got to a stage where, and even for like accessibility as well, if someone maybe lost their sight, for example, or lost their hearing, being able to see the words pop up on screen, for example, if someone's talking to you and you can't hear them, that's gonna be amazing. Nearly like subtitles, your own version of subtitles. Again, for someone who's lost their sight, maybe the glasses have an audio source where it tells them. And I think that's actually happening right now, where it tells them what they're looking at. So lots of really beneficial uses out of those. And then for business, just working from that is incredible. I guess another topic then we need to probably look at coming in 2026, we're seeing from a marketing point of view how SEO, search engine optimization, has changed completely. I was working with a client 2 days ago, and they were asking me a little bit about AI overviews. And it's funny because, one of our previous podcasts there, with the two Lauras, um, we were actually looking into AI overviews and how that's going to affect businesses over the next year. And right now, we are trying our best to get in there quicker than any of our competitors. And there's a few different ways to do that. But do you want to give people a quick overview of what GEO and or AI SEO is, Gabby?
So GEO, for anyone that doesn't know, it stands for Generative Engine Optimization. So it's effectively how you're optimizing your content. So AI assistants like say like ChatGPT or Perplexity as two examples can choose you as the answer rather than just ranking you as a link. And to be honest, when it comes to GEO, it's not really about clicks so much. It's about getting that reference, having your business summarized and also recommended by AI. Because one area that I've definitely seen, and I think for businesses, say even any business that maybe hasn't even taken SEO seriously, I definitely think now you need to take both kind of seriously. Because why I even think GEO is just now as important as SEO is not only say for example the fact that more and more people are starting to use AI technology like ChatGPT, and I've even seen, and I think it could be potentially a bit of a younger generation, but a lot of people are now using ChatGPT as a search engine. I've seen on even businesses I've worked with the amount of traffic they're now getting directly from platforms like it, that it's even say, for example, outside of, wanting to have your business appear in that, even say if you're an e-commerce business, there are, say, like platforms like ChatGPT are moving towards embedding commerce directly into it. So it's going to integrate with platforms like Shopify, and even say for even small creators like Etsy, that are going to help enable that instant purchasing inside those conversations, that are effectively going to help you turn like a chat that your customer's having, say with ChatGPT, into effectively a shopping channel for your business. But I think where that's even going to work even better is, I think, as a society now, or just as general online audiences, when it comes to our consumer behavior and our buying behavior, we're now looking for that kind of fast-paced purchasing journey, that kind of urgency. And I think, say, like TikTok Shop, I think is the best example, really, that I think it's definitely an avenue that a lot of, even say purely even e-commerce businesses should be focusing on.
It's crazy. I didn't even realize that that was coming. You're going to be able to buy straight from AI. I suppose it's kind of like, you're scrolling through Instagram and there's an ad pops up and you click through and then you purchase straight from there. It's just another way to get people to look at your product. And again, if they're asking for it, there's a warm lead. It's nearly like a direct line to that potential customer being a consumer. So yeah, it's really interesting the way it's all changing. You're probably also going to need to then create business content to reach those multiple audiences, I suppose. If you're using, I mean, there's a few tips that we can give to people to help them rank in AI search engines. And I suppose the first thing is updated content. So you wanna be updating your content, because AI works a little bit differently than a website does. Uh, as in, it doesn't store information, it does a live search. So if you are spending lots of time creating SEO content on a website and not doing any updated content, like any news articles or getting guest posts, anything like that that's relevant, because AI is just going to go straight to different sources, grab the most relevant information. Also, reviews are really important, and that's a big focus for us this year as well. Because AI uses a multitude of different sources instead of just Google using in that algorithm with search engine optimization, ranking for different keywords, and then your audience being pushed towards your website because it's number one, two, or three in Google search. Um, it's completely changing now. So there's a few tips and tricks that you're going to want to do as a business. Um, and then even from there, I suppose we could talk about ChatGPT ads, because we're talking about purchasing straight from an AI search engine. Where have the ads came from? Because AI, for me right now, using it nearly every day, using ChatGPT every day, thinking that there's going to be ads displaying. How do we feel about that?
Well, I think that I think this week's been a week of new kind of reports coming out from OpenAI, not only so with the devices, but another one that I saw, just like you said, Chris, is that they are looking to potentially introduce advertising, and it is primarily, I think, going to be targeted on, say, free users of the platform, or as a one report kind of referred to, people who use AI on the go. So what they're looking for at the minute, like, I mean, it's still very early days. They haven't rolled anything out yet, but what they're kind of looking at is to work with some advertisers for a trial period, which is looking, I think it's starting in early February. And then but say where it's going to be changing, say in terms of how ChatGPT is doing ads, is if you think of Google ads, you're paying cost per click. I think from what I looked at in the reports, they're looking to charge based on views rather than clicks. So I think that's definitely, I think it's going to change how people use, say, for free users, maybe use say, ChatGPT as a platform. But I also think it's probably going to change how potentially, as an audience or as businesses, we look at, whether, say, ChatGPT or AI then becomes a different avenue for you to advertise through. But I definitely think that, I think it could go either way. I think if with the introduction of ads on ChatGPT, I think you're either going to find potentially more free users maybe migrating over to the paid version, or you're going to find that if they seem to be successful and work, you're going to find more businesses, like I said, wanting to migrate towards it.
That's interesting. Yeah, I wonder if it's going to work like the way YouTube ads work. Is it just going to be, and then are you going to be able to, how is it only chat then? Because obviously from user generated content on YouTube, you're able to make money from having ads display on your channel or your platform, and that's enabled creators and entertainers to make a living off it. Really, I wonder, is there potential for something like that within ChatGPT, or is it a case of ChatGPT are the ones that are just going to be taking all the advertisement profit? It's interesting, and again, back to the AI overviews within Google. What we're seeing is Google's keeping most of the traffic because it's more profitable for them to do so. Instead of sending their searchers or browsers to websites, they're now giving an AI overview, and like 9 times out of 10, most people are going to read that and go, "Okay, perfect. I've got my information. I don't need to click through into a website." Um, and then what about for audio when you're talking to ChatGPT? How will ads work there? Will they display, a 15-second audio ad? Will that be an option? Because that would be quite interesting if halfway through your chat, then a random ad related to what you're talking about, let's say, for example, my car breaks down and I'm trying to diagnose the issue on ChatGPT. Maybe there's a light on the dashboard or something that comes up. Or if I'm a business and I'm trying to uh, chat with ChatGPT to see if there's any potential for them to give me tips and tricks or audit my website or something like that. Will they start recommending local agencies? Or if I ask about mechanical issues, will an ad pop up about a certain topic that's related to that? I don't know. It's quite interesting. I suppose that leads us nicely on to the other big news as well, which we heard just towards the end of last year, which is Apple's Siri is being powered by Gemini going forward. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if it's implemented yet so far, but there has been a lot of talks about it. I think it'll be amazing because Siri feels a little bit outdated now. What do you guys think?
I agree. I think just because it's been around for so long, and I don't know about you guys, it's not something that I use very often. So it's not something I'm overly familiar with the features. But I did think it was interesting because Apple has always historically built their own technology. So this is a really interesting partnership. I think it kind of is a sign of the times, though, where they're highlighting the fact that they need to keep up with what their users want. Everyone else is using AI, everyone is using it for day-to-day tasks, and Apple need to catch up. So the partnership does make sense, but it also just goes to show that even big brands like Apple also have to pivot when their user expectations aren't being fulfilled by the products that they do have. And a partnership like this is a really good way to do that, in my opinion. I think another important thing, though, to highlight is because people are so data conscious when using AI, Apple has said that all personal data, like processing, will be kept on your device or in the cloud. So it won't be shared with Google, which is something that I know people can be quite concerned with. You know, how your data is being used when you're using things like ChatGPT and the amount of data that's maybe being retained depending on your settings. So I think that was a really good thing that they have pointed out, because you want to be sure that when you're using these kinds of features that you can trust where your data is being stored and just things like that. It's just really important to be transparent about, in my opinion. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really, really good thing. But I wonder, will it push more users to use Siri? Because like, I don't know a lot of people actually do use it. Do either of you guys use it, or would you usually go for something like a Google search, or most popularly now probably AI?
I would say I would probably agree with you that because I've been pretty much probably for the past 10 years or so, probably like a lifelong Apple, like say iPhone user, that I think potentially mainly when I've used Siri is by accident when you go to close your phone and then all of a sudden it's like responds to something you're maybe talking about. But I think where maybe I didn't use Siri as much as I would have found, say, sometimes if I'd asked it for something, it would have maybe not giving me the best answer. So I think, the fact that Gemini's coming into, I think I could potentially maybe use it a bit more because maybe find it is more reliable because I know it is connected to, Google itself and my Google Gemini. But just even say like on a point where, say even for what we were talking about with GEO there, I think, where that's going to even help, say that this mix between Gemini and Apple, I think where that's going to help is that, say when users are going to ask a question, Gemini is going to decide what you say even based off, say like either your organic SEO or just the amount of say content known about your business. It's going to be the one that's going to recommend brands to you. It's going to be the one that's giving you the sources. So say like for example your website or your social platforms, that then you can build trust. And then in terms of the answers you get, that could be then the big deciding factor for you to take the next step. So I think if you think about it, if SEO is about being found and GEO is about being quoted, and making that really kind of, again, making it easier accessible to have a direct contact to an AI assistant that you can have just on your phone, that could really, I think, change the game.
I guess another question is, what what is the extent of what it can do? I mean, what you're talking about there, Siri, saying that it's a little bit outdated. I've used it a handful of times. Now, my girlfriend has this thing where she'll lift the phone up and she'll say, "Siri, phone mum," or she'll do something like that instead of just going into context or contacts. And I see her use it quite a lot, but I've never used it like that. I've always just searched. But I guess what they're saying it will be able to do, it'll be more conversational. So it'll feel like you're talking to ChatGPT or Gemini on your phone the way you do right now. Whereas Siri, the current model, feels a little bit robotic and wooden. Um, it's supposed to have a deeper app awareness, and with that, in more personal context, the way you use it. So taking into account things like your calendar, your messages, back to that security sort of thing. Do you really want the AI to be reading your messages? I'm not too sure. I haven't really got anything to hide, but I'm sure I'm sure that there's some things that you just want to be personal. Conversations between you and your parents, your partner, your friends. I don't know what the I don't know what the security around that will be like, but we'll maybe need to consider that for sure. From a business perspective, I suppose back to what you're saying, Gabby, the search, like if you're asking Siri about what are the top 10 restaurants in Belfast, or you could say, I'm looking to go out for dinner this weekend. Can you recommend somewhere nice and cozy that has a gastro style pub grub menu? Boom, it'll give you a list of the top 5, top 10 pubs that you could go to get that, to book that meal. So, and then will it give you the phone number? Will it give you the web address so you can just click in and start looking at the gallery photos?
Mhm.
You know, I think, would you use it if it was like that?
Definitely think I would consider it, because if it's going to make my life easier and make things more convenient to find, absolutely. I think that'll be great, but it's just not something that I have traditionally used. As Gabby said, I've stumbled upon it by mistake when I'm trying to lock my phone, but I would definitely be open to using it with these updates just to test it out and see how it compares to the other AI models that we would use day to day and our work and just general life.
I think for me, it probably would be something I use. I would probably find myself maybe using it more, say, like if you were traveling, so say, for example, if you were to put in, say, find me top 5 restaurants, say, like, for example, say you're in Paris, it's
Mhm.
going to tell you maybe the most expensive. It's maybe not going to tell you the best rated or whatever, maybe say a style of food you're looking for. Whereas if you could put into, say even just talking into your phone to say, tell me the 5 closest restaurants that open to this point and have a 5-star review, it's going to give you that list. So I definitely think there's going to be uses for it. But I think even say like everything we've talked about say in this episode, because saying even in terms of how quickly AI is like has even developed, not only say over the past 12 months, but I think everything's still in the early stages, like with when it comes like to the ads and the devices, but it'll be interesting to see how where it goes.
I think at that stage, you know, making Google aware of your business and keeping your content up to date is going to be more important than ever, because everyone I know has a mobile phone, and if half of those people are using, I don't know what the stats are actually on how many Apple versus Android users there are, but it would be very interesting to know how many more people are going to be connected with Gemini just from using Siri on their Apple devices. It's going to be interesting. But I think with how quickly AI is developing, it's important for businesses to adapt to using AI within their business processes and their marketing processes, because you need to stay up with the times. You know, people are becoming more switched on day after day, and with the advancements, like look at where we're at now. I was talking to my mum and dad the other day about not having mobile phones when they were dating, and I said, how did you even communicate? And mum said that she would let dad know that she would ring him at 7 o'clock on the payphone that was across across the road from his house, and he used to have to go and wait outside the payphone. This is less than 50 years ago.
Yeah,
It's,
that's mad.
he would wait for the phone to ring, and then he would pick up and it would be my mum on the other end. Like, less than 50 years. And in the past 2, 3 years, we're seeing crazy advancements in AI. So, it's not insane to think that down the line that there's going to be a dramatic change in how we actually live our lives rather than just for the marketing side of uh of AI. But anyway, we need to probably, as a business, keep on the pulse of these advancements in and updates, stay in tune, uh and I suppose watch the technology and adapt to it as your audiences are consuming the content that these advancements are enabling us to create and also putting out.
Yeah, and say just not to age myself, Chris, but say like you said, it's not even 50 years ago. I remember when I was probably less than 10, when I was on holiday, having to walk like a mile to go to the closest payphone so my mum could phone home to my granny. So we're not that, that's the thing. It is so fast paced moving. But I think my kind of wrap up thoughts would be when it comes to AI, like say for businesses, there are going to be platforms that you maybe don't want to use or maybe don't fit in with your business processes. But I think, having the knowledge or even say having some training in how AI can impact it moving forward, that's going to help you then when it maybe comes to a solution that you have to adapt more AI into what you're doing. It's not only going to help you, say, whether it's your marketing or your strategies at the minute have had a bit of a stagnant, it's just going to give you that opportunity to, expand the business, like you said, move with the times, but also create and use tools that are not only going to say benefit the business outwardly in terms of directly to their target audience, but even say internally when it comes to communication and productivity.
Mhm.
Exactly. Well, I think that's a wrap for the podcast today. There's a few topics that we've covered there, and it's flown naturally between each one because they all kind of connect. There's AI SEO, there's these devices coming out, and there's advancements with the likes of Siri becoming powered by Gemini, which is directly then connected with Google. So lots of things to think about. Thanks very much for watching the episode. If you're struggling to comprehend what is happening in the industry at the moment, or if you think that you want to be, ahead of the competition when it comes to all of these advancements, do reach out because we're very much learning every day and staying in tune and connected to these updates and how it's affecting businesses. Again, thanks very much for your input, guys. It was great chatting with you both, and we'll see you in the next video.